Welcome to the first ever podcast with Dan Becker and his editor, Emmett.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, this is exciting, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this will be fun. So actually, let me introduce you to Emmett if you don't know who Emmett is. He's my editor, and he's been working with me for almost 2 years.
It's been almost 2 years.
Yeah.
This April will be 2 years.
April will be 2 years. And so we found Emmett. My old editor, Gordon, who's got a channel called Grim Granite. Go check him out on YouTube. Told me about Emmett when Gordon decided to go off and start his own YouTube thing. So I met Emmett, and he came over and filmed his first video, which was the
Priya Outdoor Products tent, which ended up becoming one of my favorite tents ever, actually.
Really? Yeah, you used that tent.
I love that tent.
How long did you use that tent for?
The first 5 backpacking trips at least. Now I'm onto the Nemo.
I feel like you used it way more than that.
I definitely could have. But yeah, I love it. For a tent that cheap in the grand scheme of things, it's just so good. But yeah, no, I mean, rewinding back, the interview process to get this job was, I would say, pretty unique.
Why is
given
that?
what we did? Well, I mean, first of all, it all happened pretty fast. So I knew Gordon just kind of through the grapevine. I was trying to do some wedding stuff here and there. Gordon's big into wedding filmmaking, and so I got linked up with him. And I was, looking for a job in video editing, and I was just asking him if he knew anything. And so he asked me a whole bunch of questions. He didn't say, your name right off the bat. He asked me all this stuff, and then he was finally like, so I know this guy. He's got a backpacking, related YouTube channel. I'm like, oh man, that sounds awesome. And so we had a phone call, and then it was within 2 days I was, here. And basically the
I was pretty desperate.
Yeah, me too a little bit. But the process was to film a trial video. So we went out in the backyard, picked out that tent.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I gave you I was like, oh, let's just see how he does, and
It was a deadline sort of thing. So I had to go back that night, edit the video, and then bring it back to you in the morning.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to see how fast you could turn around a video.
Yeah, it was the speed thing. 'Cause, I mean, speed's a huge thing in YouTube. That's part of the game. So
yeah, it takes him like four weeks now to
4
turn around a video. No, just kidding. He's pretty quick. Yeah, and then I had you stay at a hotel.
Yeah, so I went back to the hotel that night, and I was crapping my pants. Honestly, I was so nervous. I was just trying to make something really good, and obviously ended up working out. So yeah,
I remember you coming in to the old studio, and you were like, "I really want this job, man. I really want this job." And I was like, "Okay, wow. At least he's eager."
Yeah,
and then,
yeah, man.
Yeah, dude.
And then of course we found out that I don't like coffee, so that became an issue. This is LaCroix.
It's not even coffee.
This is LaCroix in here. So
that's so funny.
yeah, but yeah, no, it's been incredible. Like we've just from the first trip. First trip was Texas, Big Bend.
Oh, that's right. We threw him right in.
Yeah,
that was the desert, man.
That was just crazy right off the bat because of the water carry.
Yeah,
it was just
9 liters. I think we carried.
Yeah, man.
Each.
For me, also part of that equation was the sunburn. I just totally.
Oh my gosh!
Do you remember?
Yes.
The future Emmett will throw up a picture of the sunburn that I got during the trip. Oh my!
I let him I was just like, okay, he's never been backpacking before. I'm just gonna kind of let him do his thing, let him pack his own stuff. And I remember you had full on aluminum spray cans full of.
Yeah. Well, this is also part of it. Is what we did the skit about. Both of us forgot a battery bank in the car, and then I actually had to run back a second time to go to the camp store that was down in there to go get sunscreen.
Yeah.
So I had this massive thing of sunscreen with me. That was noob, Emmett. That was before I knew what I was doing. I mean,
did you go back to the camp store?
Yes.
And you went and bought?
Yeah, I went and bought sunscreen.
So we were at camp.
Yeah.
And then you hiked back. I don't know how many miles that was. But
it was like a couple. Yeah, at least. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, good stuff. No, that was a fun trip. Yeah, what was next? Colorado, that was cool. Utah with Outdoor, that was the Utah with Outdoor Vitals the first time. That was a really special trip, I think, because of how much we got to do.
Which one was that?
That was to Utah. It was the fishing one.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
a bunch of you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just so fun to just watch you guys, just give each other crap for the fishing stuff. We have a whole funny montage.
Isn't that like your?
That was the first time ever fishing. So I've never fished in my life. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
from Wisconsin, and you
Yeah, I did that. I'll
How does
blame my
that work?
parents on that one. I don't know, but yeah, that one was cool too. Obviously, because we got to do the special little trip out in the desert with the Razor. Oh man,
Oh yeah,
I had tears in my eyes.
I do remember that.
I
I was like, wow, this pretty emotional
yeah,
editor I got
yeah,
here
that was nuts.
crying over the
Yeah, what would
the
you
Razor
say?
footage.
What would you say? I guess here's a question. Do you have a favorite trip of all time, and then also do you have a favorite video on your channel, or maybe those two things are the same thing? But I'll just let
Oh
you
my
take off of
gosh.
that.
Man, that's a tough one. I honestly, my favorite trips are the ones that I think I never even filmed because I probably filmed a little bit of them, but they're with like my circle of like dudes,
Sure,
my
sure.
guys, where I
Yeah,
don't
the
bring a
guy trip.
camera.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I probably went on like 5 or 6 of them, but those I think for me like I appreciate just hanging out with like people more than I appreciate the actual trip.
The act of doing all the miles and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, me too. I mean, that's why I like, you've totally gotten me into the world of backpacking and all this stuff, but I still really love a car camp, honestly. Just, getting out there with some friends and you can get food, drinks, whatever out there and stuff. It's not, backpacking obviously has it's really
Yeah,
fun
but you were
stuff,
just telling me that because we do have a sort of an announcement to make in a few minutes here.
that is true.
But you're just telling me how excited you are to get out again.
Yeah, we are getting back. It's obviously with, everything that's happened this past year, trips kind of fell off a little bit towards the end there. And so I'm just really excited to get back out. I know you are too. Obviously, this one's, should we just say it? Should we just come out and say it?
Yeah, we're going back to the Grand Canyon. So by the time you see this, we will probably be down in the canyon. Actually, you will see this while while we're in the canyon.
Yeah.
We are going to be deep in the canyon.
This is a question. Right when you told me we were going back, this is the first thing I thought of. Did you get any stick from your family at all about going back? Like, what was their reaction to?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't know, I'm sure you've been living under a rock. We went to the Grand Canyon almost a year ago, exactly. I got rescued and didn't know what was going to happen, and my family was hearing what was going on via text,
Right.
and they didn't know what was going to happen. They thought they were preparing for my death, actually, like kind of freaking out. And so, I told them this time my wife Jody was not happy at all.
Mm-hmm.
She was like trying to talk me out of it. And then, so this time we're not going in to do a rim to rim. We're going in at Hermit's Rest on the south side of the canyon, but it's way west, and it's a lot easier to go in.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to spend 2 nights down at the bottom of the canyon, then we're going back out the same way because I will never go out this time of year again.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, for what it's worth, you had a lot rougher of a time, during that trip than I did, but that was still, I would say, bar none, the hardest physical thing I've ever done in my entire life. Part of that was, I just don't think I went into my whole setup, and I guess what I was doing going down into that South Rim was just, so I had to switch backpacks last minute. I don't know if you remember that. I usually backpack with Outdoor Vitals.
Yeah, why did you switch?
35. It was just, it's my 35 liter pack. I was trying to carry so much in, and so I ended up having
the
45 liter, right? So I ended up having to switch last minute to this big Mystery Ranch pack that Eric had.
Right.
And I just don't, it didn't fit me very well. And I don't think we had it like cinched down correctly and everything. So it was really hurting me like going down into the Grand Canyon. I also wasn't using trekking poles at that point, which I know you've given me a lot of stick about. I ended up doing that eventually, obviously, but just having so much weight on you and, stomping down step after step of all these switchbacks, it just takes a toll. So
I remember me and Eric were way ahead of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, Eric, something's wrong with Emmett. Like, what's going on? Yeah. And you were so quiet. You didn't tell anybody. And I'm like, dude, he's not well.
Yeah.
And we got to the bottom, and I don't remember who like approached you on it. Was it me or
I think
Eric?
it was you. I think it might actually be on video. I think you have a vlog. I'll roll the clip of you saying, "I think we're a little worried about Emmett here."
Yeah. I'm a little concerned about Emmett. His pack has been hurting him quite a bit. He's real quiet. And whenever he's super quiet, he's not doing too good. So we're gonna keep an eye on him though. So he's got me a little worried. And I remember you saying like everything's hurting or something like that.
Yeah.
And then did I tell you to use trekking poles then?
I
don't
think
remember.
that was the point that I started doing it, and man, that just
Yeah,
it
you just
makes
used
such a
one, right?
One, because I like to hike with the camera in my hand.
Yeah.
So I do one trekking pole.
He likes to
one
hike
camera.
with a $6,000 camera setup in his hand while going down the South Rim, and the camera belongs to me, so no big deal.
This is just our world. Right? This
Yeah.
is just our world. But yeah, man, I think that first day really set the tone because of how difficult that was just in and of itself. You know, getting to what was the campsite we hiked to that first night?
Cottonwood.
Cottonwood, yeah. Getting to Cottonwood just was itself, a task.
Well, yeah,
We
that
were
was probably, I don't know, 14, 15 miles down, I think.
Yeah.
Something
We were all toast at the end of that.
That's a big day.
Yeah, huge day. And then, I mean, I know the second day we were all we were toying with even if we were gonna do it. And,
Yeah.
obviously we have Eric with us, who he's Eric.
Eric's
gonna be down for
Eric's
everything.
like a billy goat on the mountains.
Yeah, he literally is. But yeah, I mean, so that second day, obviously, the YouTube scene, sort of your side of things and Eric's side of things, but I have my perspective. So when we were hiking up the North Rim, Jake and I were ahead, but we were struggling too. I don't think I've ever actually told you this, but I got to a point where I didn't want to have to put the energy into taking out my water in and out of my pack. And so I was eating snow off the ground, which is probably really bad to do.
What? Are you serious?
I was so
What?
At that point I was like delirious. I don't know where I was. I was just trying to get up to that summit. And then so Jake and I got up to the top. Jake was Eric's filmer.
Jake, if you're watching this,
You're the man.
Jake is the man.
He is the man.
I don't know where we would have been if he had not have been there.
And also hiked that entire trip with a way heavier camera setup than he probably had the most.
You
stuff
got to
of
get a
all
clip
the-
of his.
Oh yeah, I
setup.
will. It was nuts.
He was probably carrying 50 pounds.
Oh yeah, easily.
Easily.
But yeah, so we made it up, and I'm again, yeah, bless his heart. He was like, "I'm going back down."
Yeah.
At that point, I think I laid down in the snow there for a little bit. I was
You
just trying
did?
to, yeah, I was just trying to like collect myself.
Wait, when was this?
This was like, so Jake and I had made it up to the top of the North
Oh,
Rim.
okay.
Yeah, so we had made it up to the top.
Yeah.
He went back. We dropped stuff. Then at least it was either him or Eric made it back up first. I want to say it was Eric, and someone had your pack, and so we just started setting up everything so that you could just get up and crawl right in. I don't even do you even remember like the actual moment of coming back up to the top, or were you just totally?
I remember, yeah, like it's bits and pieces. I remember seeing a tent on the snow. I knew it was mine.
Yeah.
I don't remember much after that. I barely remember getting in, and then I just remember the night. That was
The
bad.
night. Yeah. So yeah, fast forward to the night. I wake up at some point, and I think that I'm hearing some groaning noises, and I'm not sure. I know that I'm super tired. I'm super out of it. And then at a certain point, it got to a point where I'm like, there's definitely someone groaning.
Who
here.
woke you up, or did you
was
wake up?
It was
I
you.
woke you up.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure what it was at that point.
Was I
but-
yelling your name or something?
No, you were just groaning in pain.
Oh, okay.
I can't. Maybe you were saying something I can't really remember. But at that point I was like, okay, obviously someone needs help here. I just tried to get all my stuff on. My boots were literally frozen solid at that point. The shoelaces were frozen together, and so I had to like pound my boots in to you'd be able to get them on my feet or anything. But yeah, so made it out. I think that in that situation, I'm just so grateful that, yeah, obviously, we shouted out Jake. Jake was a huge help in that whole thing, but that Eric was there.
Yeah.
Because I think just I'm not used to any of that. I didn't know what to do. I think if that was just you and me up there, I wouldn't have known how to help in as an effective way as Eric did, and so I'm super thankful.
Yeah,
that he
the
was
thing
there.
that Eric did, which you learned this in like Noel's training, like the emergency training, like what to do if something like this happens, is to whoever is in duress to keep them calm.
Yeah, and so you have to stay calm yourself.
You have to stay calm yourself.
I'm not so sure I would have been able to do that.
Yeah,
To be honest,
he did. That
yeah.
was like that kicked in for him because I couldn't
Yeah.
believe he was just like, "Yeah, Dan, man,
Yeah.
you're fine, dude. We're good."
Because if
you know?
he's freaking out, then you're
Then
gonna
I'm
freak
freaking
out
out.
even more.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then yeah, Rangers came. Obviously, shout out to them. Huge help. But yeah, man, what a crazy experience.
What was it like the next day and stuff? I remember I remember a lot of the rescue.
Yeah.
I remember them putting me in the vehicle, and I remember them giving me IVs, and it was like as soon as they stuck like needles in me for something, like my body was just like yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they took me, but then I was just thinking to myself, holy cow, those guys have to hike back.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, that I think that middle day was needed. So we just took that day off pretty much.
What was your body like that day?
Oh my gosh. I think it was more our minds, cuz when the truck left to take you out, like right when they drove you down the road, we just all had a moment where we were just like, what? What just happened? We just had to kind of take a minute and just reflect on that and let it hit us. And yeah, that day was built in as a rest day, even regardless of anything that happened to you. So we had planned on taking that day just to hang out at the North Rim and kind of relax and take pictures, take videos, film some stuff. So that day was definitely needed. We obviously ended up not being the best situation given that everything that happened to Eric.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
That's a whole other story. Yeah.
That's a whole other story. Watch Eric's video on it. Watch our video on it. That was just nuts. But yeah, it was a good day in the way of we needed that rest. But then we were all just like, man, we obviously wish you could have been there to experience that with us, because the view from there was incredible. And the thing honestly that we were all super disappointed that you missed was a little known fact. I mean, I sure didn't notice. There is a steak dinner.
Yeah.
There's a steak restaurant at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and
Eric
Phantom
talked
Ranch.
about it the whole time.
Yeah, he talked about it the whole time. He hyped it up so much. You can reserve a spot, time to go get dinner. It was very good, but we were all definitely thinking about you, and yeah, it was.
So, but what was your hike like? Just going back down with snowshoes and stuff like that.
So
I wondered about that.
Yeah. So there was someone who had either hiked up or down during our rest day that was post-holing it. And so the whole entire the whole entire trail was,
so somebody came up behind us?
Either behind us or you'd have to ask Eric. I think he knows the actual situation. But anyway, the trail was just destroyed. And so we're in snowshoes, have the proper equipment for the job, right? But the fact that trail was post-holed meant that we were rolling our ankles all over the place. It was really tough.
Okay, so when we went up the North Rim, no one had been there.
It was fresh trail.
It was all fresh.
So
we
it
were
must have been
breaking
behind
trail.
us.
Yeah,
yeah, it must have been someone behind.
But how weird is it that within that amount of time somebody had come up?
Yeah, I don't know how that could have happened.
How far were the tracks down? Do you remember? Like the whole
pretty
way?
much until the point where we had put on our snowshoes initially. So it was quite a distance. And then obviously, so after the snowshoe portion of the trail, things got a lot easier. But the one thing that was crazy, I don't know if we have ever told you this. That portion, those of you who have seen the video that will remember it, but that portion of the trail where we had to go down into that gulch to skip around that big blockade of ice.
Oh yeah.
A bunch of ice had fallen from the top of that cliff into that gulch between when we had come there before. And so we're all just looking at these massive ice chunks being like, yeah, at some point these things just fell down, and who knows? That literally could have been us. So we had to do that again. We did it as quick as possible. I think we have footage of us going back. I'll feature Emmett. We'll check.
Well, there was ice that broke when we were coming to it. I remember.
Just down. Yeah, it rained down on us. So that was crazy. And then there was also, so I think when we were going up, things were more slushy. But then on our way back, there were certain sections of the trail that had frozen over. And so there was just a sheet of ice, across like a narrow path. You got the wall of the canyon on one side, death drop on your other side. And you're just kind of hugging the wall, trying to, it was crazy, man. But I mean, with all this stuff, it's like people always say, it's type 2 fun. You're overexerting yourself, you're in danger, but you just look around and you're just like, wow, how is it that I'm here?
So I'm trying to remember at what point my body shut down. It was past the obviously when we put on snowshoes. But I do remember like being exhausted and still thinking like just as exhausted as I am, this place is amazing.
Right. It's hard not to see it for what it is, even through all the trials and tribulations.
So what was your So then I don't remember where you guys stayed. Did you stay at Cottonwood again?
Yeah. No. So we hiked all the way to Phantom Ranch that night because that.
So that was
night,
like another 15-mile day, probably.
Yeah, it was
right?
a tough day, but we were going down, so that did make it a lot easier. I think the weather was also nicer, just in general.
Was it difficult going down in the snowshoes for you?
Yeah. I don't think I was as prepared for how hard snowshoeing would be. I've done the kind of kiddie snowshoe, just across a flat plain or whatever, but doing it up the North Rim, that was just
if you've ever snowshoed, like just gone on a snowshoe hike through the woods, it's like every step is like 5 steps of a normal
yes
of a normal walk. Yeah, it's no joke.
So we're going back. We're going back.
We're going back. We're there right now. So what do you think's happening right now? What do you think we're doing?
We're doing one of 3 things. We're hiking a switchback. We're taking a break to film something, or I don't know. You're stopped to pound some coffee or something.
Or the Rangers are coming to rescue.
Yeah, the Rangers coming. Knock on.
Oh man, and I'll be real. I do like right now. I have massive anxiety, not because I think anything is going to go wrong, but because I feel like the best way to describe it, because Darwin is going with us, and I was trying to describe this to him because he was like, this trip is not going to be anything like the last one. You got nothing to worry about. And I'm like, I totally get it. But at the same time, it's like revisiting a place where you had a horrible accident or something like that, or a crash, or a loved one died or something. And, the place itself, it's not a big deal, but all these emotions,
the memories,
everything's rushing back. Yeah. And I don't know if it's PTSD, whatever it is. I've never experienced that or know anything about it. Maybe it is a symptom of it, but massive anxiety. I have very difficult time sleeping, thinking about it. Like I am, and the other, when I told my wife, she wasn't excited, but then Carter, my youngest, when he found out like probably 3 days ago, dude, I thought he was going to ball his brains out. He's like, dude, Dad, you're not going. You can't go. Yeah. Well, I didn't even think of that. Like, I didn't think of the reaction that they would have.
Yeah.
And it's not like anything I think is going to go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
but
I mean, here's what I will say. I mean, all that stuff's just totally legit. No one would see what you went through and think that you wouldn't be, feeling that kind of stuff. But I just think it's so impressive that this is a comeback story. This is a big comeback story. I think 99 people out of 100 would just never return to that, and the fact that like you're going, we're going, I think shows a lot. So
yeah, I appreciate that. I've wanted to go back for a long time.
I think you said something to Eric like right back when we got back to his house. You were like, "When are we going back?"
Well, yeah, I mean, the place itself was amazing. Yeah. I don't think the trauma had set in yet. Yeah. Like I don't think I was hopped up on a lot of drugs.
Yeah, and just all the just endorphins from doing the thing.
Yeah, and so I think it's one thing to say that you want to do something, but it was like the minute I booked the flights for us, it got real, and I was like, oh, that's when it was like a light switch happened, and I've got anxiety right now for sure, but I think I'm trusting Big D. Trusting you, Big D, Darwin,
or Big N,
Big N, Big
his name's Nick,
Big Nick,
Big Nick. But yeah, man, no, it'll be good. Have you ever has any other trip gotten you so, I guess, out of your comfort zone before, or would you say this has been the biggest one?
That's a good question. You mean like pre or like during?
Yeah, pre, just going into it.
No.
Yeah.
Not even close. Like nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like every trip I've ever been on, I feel like, I mean, there's been moments where you're like, what am I getting myself into? Because it's going to be legit. Oh, you know what? Actually, one. It was the one where we went to the Sawtooths and you guys made me summit a mountain.
Eric's just always making us
Eric,
do
I know
stuff.
Eric is like, Eric is. We love you, Eric.
We love you so much, Eric,
and hate you all at the same time.
I think what it is
We love you.
we do. We're going with pros, right?
Yeah,
And we're just two guys from Wisconsin.
exactly.
I had never even backpacked before starting this job. It's just a whole new world. But I think pushing, like going out of the comfort zone is just fun. It's like that type 2 fun. But yeah, I think the Grand Canyon's gonna be better this time around. I'm really looking forward to it, even though. I mean, I was nervous too. I was just hoping that there wasn't going to be snowshoes involved this time.
Yeah, you kept asking me like, "Is there going to be snow? Is there snow?" Or you thought we were doing the same trip.
Yeah, I thought we were going rim to rim.
I'm like, "Yeah, we're going back to the Grand Canyon." He's like, "Wow."
I was like, "Do you want to do that?
You really want to do this, Dan?"
Yeah.
So now that you are going back, have you told people?
Yeah, my family knows. They I think at a certain point they just trust that we all know what we're doing, at least to a certain extent. I think first couple trips they were always just checking in, like, oh, what's happening, like where are you going to be specifically and stuff. But at this point, they know what you're doing. Like, I'm not a noob anymore myself. I'm probably still a noob, but
you're less of a noob than you think
less
you are.
of a noob. Yeah. But yeah, no, it'll be good. I had a random question. This is kind of moving on, but I had a random question for you, which is, what or who inspires you most as a YouTuber?
As a YouTuber?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Like, what's my favorite? Like, what do
Yeah,
I...
just do you have because with YouTube, I think it's inevitable to have, you can't do it without inspirations, because like people who at least either like show you how to do things or just inspire to create things in a certain way. So I've always just wondered, I have my own people that I watch and.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if it's like inspiring me, like just probably top would be Yes Theory is probably top. A new one that I love to watch that is he's just such a great storyteller as far as like what he's been doing is Tyler Oliveira, if you know who that is. I just love his videos. They're so good. Yeah. Oh, and then my buddy, Maddie. Maddie's been a huge help, huge inspiration.
Yeah, I would say Maddie is responsible for 90% of what I know, to be honest. So I just a little bit about me. I studied filmmaking and video editing in college, but I went to a super, super small private school, and they didn't have a ton in the way of, production classes, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm largely taught through YouTube University. It's a completely viable way to learn stuff these days. There's so many good people teaching so many valuable skills, and Maddie was definitely one of those guys. Yeah. It was actually funny. So like I said, I met Gordon just through the grapevine, and I was talking to Gordon about Maddie, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know Maddie." And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool. No, I watch him too." And he's like, "No, I know Maddie." And I was like, and then you obviously have a super strong relationship with him as well. So it's just cool to be in this space. Like, this is a dream come true for me, to be honest. Not to get all whatever about it, but like this is a dream come true job because I love YouTube. I love being in the space.
Did you hear that, folks? Did you hear that? Submit your applications at
www. Yeah. But it's been awesome, man. I can't wait to see what comes next. We've got some big things coming up this year, obviously. Let's talk about the Kibera thing.
Oh yeah, dude, we're going back to Africa.
That was just.
Yeah, we're going back to Africa. That's going to be amazing. I'm excited about that. Oh, update. We raised all the money, by the way. So we needed to raise $150,000 for them. We raised $152,000 or $153,000. So to everyone that donated and prayed and all that stuff, thank you very much. You can click that link. I'll put it in the description below where you can see exactly your dollars have gone and where they're going, and you can see like individual families that our specific money has helped, not like everybody, but this is just like us. It's really cool how he was able to make that happen so we can kind of see what we're doing.
When you showed me that website they put together, that blew my mind.
Yeah,
it's just it's unbelievable. And I don't know, this whole thing, it's just the YouTube effect. Like, who would have thought that, we put out a random update on the whole situation. Who would have thought in 2 or 3 days we would raise this amount of money?
We raised
incredible.
We raised $77,000 or $78,000 in like 3 days, which is unheard of for a channel our size. And Sawyer matched $75,000 of it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
We I don't know why I just thought this. We have a really funny story about Chris of the Bucky Miniature. Actually, I feel like we should air this for the very first time. So it's the
I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say.
So we were with them in Kenya, and we were staying at this campground. The last couple days, or the last couple days of the trip. And he somehow got the entire camp staff on board.
All Kenyans.
All Kenyans.
Well, you got to explain where we're at. We're in Nairobi National Park.
Yeah.
This is outdoors. This is there's no fences around. There's lions. There are big game just roaming around you that you can see frequently.
Yeah, you essentially camp within this national park that has all the wildlife in the entire world.
They escorted us to our tents that night with rifles.
Yes. Yep. And so, yeah, I guess I don't even remember how exactly it went down, but he basically got the entire camp staff on board to prank us in a mega way. So they all just came out while we're having dinner.
Dude.
We were so caught off guard and just started screaming lion. And so you, me, and Daryl of Sawyer, we're just... What do you do in that situation other than just run for your life?
I don't even remember what happened.
Yeah,
I was
just
just
black
like,
out a little bit. Exactly.
The run, lion. And these people are screaming.
They're selling
like,
it so hard.
Like Bob just got ripped to shreds or something by some lion. Oh, dude.
So, yeah, Chris, we're going to get you back one day.
It was a good one, though. I wish we would have got
one.
that on video. Why didn't you video that,
you
Chris?
video.
What the heck, dude? That would have been so good.
It would have.
Oh, my gosh.
No, shout out to him. What a great human being, and incredible traveling with him and all the team as well.
And we're going back.
And we're going back.
We're going back. So the reason we're going back isn't to do more work in Kibera. We're going to celebrate the finale. We're going to see like the final, bucket handed out, and so that'll be awesome. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, who would have thought? When we did that first trip, I don't think either of us could have predicted that we'd also be there to celebrate the end of everything. Obviously when you go there and you realize the scale of what they were trying to accomplish, it's like how could this happen? But they've got it done.
It was good. Yeah.
But
one more thing I just thought of. Shout out to Terry Anderson. Thanks for making that logo for me.
Super sweet.
It's super awesome. So give me a thumbs up if you like the logo on the back wall there.
Spicing up the studio.
He's a subscriber. Random subscriber reached out to me and says, "Hey man, I want to make you something," and that's it. So pretty cool. What were you gonna say?
Cool. Yeah, just spicing up the studio a bit.
Yeah, spicing up the studio.
Yeah,
spicing it up. Yeah. So, well, anyway, if you like this sort of thing, podcast, hanging out, talking, hearing from Emmett from time to time, please let me know in the description below. Anything else you want to?
Yeah, just appreciate you guys. I said in that one video I made that was just me a while ago. I expressed, I can never express enough the gratitude for you guys, the viewers, because it allows him to do what he does, which in turn allows me to do what I do. So, thank you.
You gave him a job, folks. You gave him a job.
Yeah, I used to work at Target before this. I'm gonna be honest.
He was a bartender.
I was a bartender
and Target.
Yep. And my dad's farm.
And
shout out to you, Dad.
That's awesome. All right. That's it.
Cheers,
Peace.
man. LaCroix, cheers.
LaCroix,
Peace.
cheers. You guys are awesome. And we'll see you hopefully alive and well back on the other side of the Grand Canyon. So
see you on the next one.
See you in the next one.